My name is Rachel Melheisler, and I teach 4th grade at Alto Elementary, part of Lowell Area Schools.
Okay, so you're part of our Cambridge Learning Associates assessment that we're piloting through the Kent ISD. What was kind of your big aha moment when you were doing that with your students?
I think a big aha for me was that this is going to mean a change in the type of teaching that I do. I think that it wasn't MEP-like in the way that we've been trying to prepare our kids for a MEP test, and so I realized that I'm going to have to make some changes from watching them take it, from seeing the questions, and then from the scoring aspect, just looking at the expectations.
So what do you see as the biggest differences between the old way of doing the assessments versus the new way that we're doing the assessments?
There are quite a few differences. One of the big differences, the typing expectation, that students have to type their answers, type essays, type math problem answers, and how much time that takes for kids, and how some kids shorten their answers because they aren't good at typing and they don't want to have to type in a long answer. Other technology aspects are very different. The students had to toggle back and forth between windows when they were trying to research text and then put notes when they were trying to use their notes to formulate an essay. A lot of skills that a lot of kids don't maybe have as securely as they will need to for this test. Even just going back up to reread the story and coming back down, it was very different for them in that aspect. I think the application part of this test is different. You're not just answering a multiple choice question. You have to take information. For the 4th grade, one of the math questions, they had to use 24 feet of fencing and turn that into 3 different rabbit pens, and most of my students used it as the area of 24 instead of a perimeter. So a big difference isn't just find the area, find the perimeter, and fill in the circle. That was different. I think it's also different for a level of anxiety for the kids. I think for the test where they just would bubble in an answer, they could move on, and a lot of kids just sat there and they're like, I don't know what to write. So it's going to be a difference in preparation for them to take, even how to take a best guess on that, or if it is okay or not okay to leave an answer blank, because we always tell them don't skip, on a test like this. That was a big difference. I think just the way it was set up is very different. The different questions, grammar, different things. It is very different doing answers for writing decimals out as opposed to just circling an answer. Just what they had to feed back as opposed to before where they just had to bubble in an answer.
So you're finding that kids are acting or thinking and having to do things at more of a synthesis level than just a rote regurgitation?
Exactly. And too much of a lot of our programs that we use are a lot more, we try and make it real world applicable and give them examples, but a lot of times we prove if they know it or not, if they can apply the formula to a problem. In this case, they had to apply the formula to a real world situation, draw 3 rabbit pens, and then take it to another level and draw a different rabbit pen that was touching the house. So now they only have to use 3 sides, same amount of fencing, larger area, and the synthesis part is something that a lot of them, aren't doing to the level they should be.
Just not quite used to that in their schools yet, right?
Right. And as a teacher, I will admit that I must not be doing a good enough job teaching that if they can't do that. And part of that maybe isn't my fault. Part of it maybe is the curriculum, and part of it is, just something that teachers are going to have to step up and change the way they do things.
Sure. So how can you see yourself delivering your content differently to make sure that kids are going to be able to do well on these sort of assessments that come up in the future?
I think the application part, not just teaching what is the formula for math, not just teaching read something and circle a multiple choice answer. It's going to be a lot more, the math problem, how it does apply, and trying to take it a step further. And even in things like decimals was one of the ones the kids had to use, and base 10 blocks, which you'd think they've been using base 10 blocks since 1st grade. I think it's just going to change the way we create problems, and thinking a different way than we've always thought, like, if you see 2 longs, that's 20. Okay, now you're going to have to apply it in 3 different settings. Is there 3 different number models that could represent this, because they're so used to thinking one way, and trying to broaden that. The decimal is the same thing. How can you write this? How can you add these? They know tenths, they know hundreds. I just taught it, but then trying to apply it to the problem the way the Common Core, pilot test was asking was something that was foreign to them. I think think it'll change the way that we use technology. We're going to have our kids typing more from earlier on. We're going to have them doing research on the computer. And yes, we've started doing that. One of my teaching partners and I, we have had them research planets and sun, moon, and earth and turn it into a Google Doc presentation, but it wasn't the same. They didn't have to look at the screen and make their notes at the same time. They were writing notes. They were then applying it back. And so I think we're going to have to create different technology, ways to integrate it in and have them practicing these. And in the reading essay part, they had to watch 2 videos online and take notes. I've never had my kids do that. We've shown plenty of different videos to enhance our science concepts or to, do different things, but I've never had them take notes on that. That was completely foreign to them. So I think it will change, a lot of different aspects, and how some of that would be science, you would think, but it's also reading. Informational text is an area we've struggled, we know, in the meat before, and now this was a lot of use of informational text. So really now it's not just reading a book and answering questions for informational text. It's reading informational text, extracting information, watching the video, extracting information, now turning it back into an essay, all without any help from the teacher. So it has to be something that we've taught so that they can do it independently.
What would be something that you might tell your colleagues about this experience that you have, and to maybe help them prepare for some of the next generation assessments?
I think that they're going to have an open mind about changes. I think, there are things that I've taught, for the last 9 years in 4th grade, always the same way, because I've gotten comfortable doing that, and now I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to change that. But also not to be overwhelmed. I don't think it means we have to change everything the way we do it. It just means we're going to have to tweak different things. We still need to teach math concepts. They still need to know the basic math concept, or they won't be able to take it to a synthesis level. It just means, we might have to create some other problems, some other activities, some other ways for them to take it to the application level. And the same thing for reading. I don't think that everything I've taught in reading was wrong. It just means I'm going to have to change and adjust it to meet this. And I think that hopefully, working together as grade levels or districts or, whatever, we can work that into some of the existing things we have. It doesn't mean we're throwing out everything and changing it all. It just means we're going to have to tweak some of the different things.
I'm Randy Fleener. I'm a principal at Alto Elementary School in Lowell Schools.
Okay. So as you did the CLA pilot out here in Lowell, can you tell me a couple things that you would have to tell your teachers and prep them for as they look for this in the future, and what assessments look like?
Sure. Get ready. One of the big takeaways for me was just the students' ability to manage the equipment in terms of typing, keyboarding skills, multiple screens being open. We really walked away from that experience thinking we already had a lot of technology integration happening. I mean, we can always do more, but it really was a red flag that we're not doing enough. We're not infusing that in everyday kinds of things as much as possible. We really started thinking about how this would work in the schedule. Everybody's got limited technology. We can always use more. So from my standpoint, really helping teachers, pushing teachers, equipping teachers to infuse as much technology as possible throughout the day. So I was joking with my superintendent, maybe he needs to throw us a bone and get us another lab out here for doing the pilot.
You're probably not alone.
He didn't go for that.
Right. Okay, well, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
All right.